Welcome back. You're watching the Power Breakfast Show. Now, this morning we want to talk about the Kenya film industry and a lot more in that. And we're joined by Ms. Lizzie Chongoti. She's the CEO of the Kenya Film Commission, together with Juliette Vivier. She's the Regional Audiovisual Attaché at the French Embassy. Very good morning to you, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And it's going to be a nice conversation because it's something I really like, the film industry. Well, maybe we can start with you, Lizzie. And what's the state of Kenya's film industry coming from the Kenya Film Commission?
Thank you so much. The state is such that we are going through very exciting times, by virtue of the fact that a lot of things have come together for the good of the film industry, starting with, of course, the minimum requirement for local content, which was not always there, and then over and above that, the digital switchover. So suddenly we have all this space, that content space that needs the content creators, who are the filmmakers, to actually fill it up. So very exciting times, a lot of opportunities for jobs for the youth, and also just the much needed revenue for the economy. Okay. Yeah.
You've talked about this whole new push for local content, the digital migration that happened, the switch off. So there's a lot of need, or we all need stuff, films, movies, TV shows, but then there's also the conversation on quality control. How is the Kenya Film Commission going about that?
The way we are going about that, first of all, we know that with increased demand, that means that the more the films we produce, the better the quality will become, because then that inspires a lot of healthy competition, and people will begin to know the difference. But beyond that, what we are doing is making sure that various pillars are in place. For example, what we are going to talk about later, the Kalasha International, which is really a convergence within the region, and in partnership with the French Embassy. But also very important is that through the parastatal reform process, the Kenya Film Commission is the first parastatal to undergo that process, and we do have a new legal notice, 2 months old, and in that is the establishment of a film fund. Because, as you know, film is very expensive.
Yes, it is.
And so that will again help the filmmakers to even be able to make better quality, because a lot of times it's the resource that's missing. And then finally, we have a lot of capacity building initiatives, which I'll go into later, again to build the capacity of the industry so that that quality is actually coming out. Now, we were once the hub for international filming, then that went to South Africa, purely because of the heavy taxes the government had imposed on the companies filming locally. But there's also talk of ending it, ending that by enacting new incentives for the filmmakers that will provide, I think, up to 32% rebate. How is that going? That's gone on very well. I must say that we have a lot of political goodwill, we have a lot of support from government, and through the Finance Act of 2015, we do have for the first time a rebate system for Kenya, which should see the international filmmakers come back to Kenya as a preferred filming destination on the continent. And so what we are currently working on is modalities of having that in place, and having the government also put aside some money which we will rebate against. But over and above that, in that same Finance Act of 2015, we also have incentives for local filmmakers. And again, we are in the process of trying to demystify those so that they can be able to easily tap into those incentives, both on goods and services, as well as bringing in equipment into the country.
Juliette, from France, and we watch a lot of movies that have a scene shot in France, some different or remote parts of France. How's the government been able, the French government, been able to have that take place in France?
Do you know what we say? The French exception.
The French exception. I like that.
The French exception. So yes, we have a very specific system to support the industry and to support all the creators, scriptwriters, film directors to go out there and be able to produce their piece. So this is very specific. So I don't know if we want to just duplicate it. However, and thanks to Kalasha International as well, we're going to bring some experts from France to share with the policymakers from the region, you know, our French experience.
Yes.
And maybe some parts can be used and duplicate here to foster and support the industry to produce more.
Yes.
Because yes, in France we have a system of funding the film industry which is very, very specific. And thanks to that we are protecting the film and TV industry because it's considered for us as cultural products. Meaning it's not like banana.
Yes.
It's treated differently and you cannot touch it. I mean, it's very protected. Regarding the incentive, it's like in many other countries we have 30% cash rebates on any movies coming into France.
Okay, so maybe we're headed in the right direction with these conversations that you're having. Now, earlier on this year in May, there was a trip that senior government officials took to Hollywood with goodie bags for, you know, directors. Have we seen any prospects out of that? Have we seen any interest out of that?
Thank you. Actually, I was part and parcel of that particular visit.
Yes.
And we were fortunate to host top Hollywood executives for a luncheon. And there is a lot of interest. And I know through our embassy in the U.S., more recently, the Motion Pictures Association of America, which hosts some of the top studios like Universal and Fox Theaters and all that, have been inquiring as to the timelines within which the rebate system will be in place. So I do know that a lot of American and other country filmmakers want to come and shoot in Kenya because Kenya has a lot of advantages, much more than places like South Africa, even in terms of our work ethic and in terms of many other things. So we are very optimistic that once we have our systems in place, we will be able to see a lot of that traffic come in place. Come to Kenya, and I know that we have been anxiously waiting for Dr. Richard Leakey's film, Africa, to be shot in Kenya. Again, if that comes to Kenya, and when it does come to Kenya, that is about $110 million in just a few weeks, which is 11 billion Kenya shillings. And that just goes to show you the importance of the industry, not to mention the impact that it would have on tourism, especially at this time when we are talking about tourism recovery, because we know from research that 70% of people who have come to Kenya as tourists have come because they saw Kenya either on film or on TV. So again, film does for you what no marketing budget or strategy can ever do for you. So it's very, very powerful.
And I'll pick up from that the importance of building the Kenyan brand through film. Like you said, a lot of tourists come to Kenya purely because of what they have seen. But then again, there is also this other scene that we see where Kenya is not really portrayed in that positive light or in that, you know, beautiful light. And I'd like to, you know, hear your thoughts on that, on the importance of building the Kenya brand through film.
Yeah, you're right. Beyond just bringing guests to Kenya, film is very central in, you know, being able to articulate our national brand as a country, being able to tell our own stories through our own lens. Again, like you're saying, to make sure that, you know, we don't have a storyline that we do not subscribe to or that is not positive in terms of how people perceive Kenya. And that's the beauty of being able to have a certain percentage of local content. That's the beauty of the fact that now for the first time we have an opportunity to tell lots of stories. And not just because of the local content quota. When you look at what is happening globally, a lot of international channels, including French channels and other countries, are looking for fresh African content. In the region, we have 150 million Kiswahili speakers. I know Citizen is very popular in Tanzania, for example. And again, that's another big market for us because people may say that, oh, Kenya doesn't have the sort of population that Nigeria has. But we do have a huge regional population. So film is very critical in those aspects, and I think more and more now we'll be able to tell our own stories in the way we know best. So hopefully that will help to balance out, you know, the negative perceptions that may be out there.
If I may add on that, thanks to the digital switchover, now you really have content can flow throughout Africa, but also throughout the world. And so you have more and more co-productions opportunities out there, and this is what we're going to bring to Kenya, by the way, with Kalasha International, is to foster the co-production. When you foster it, your content, your stories, your trademark, your touch is going out there, and it's seen. And on top of it, there is another part of the industry that has been untapped for the moment in Africa. It's the animation films. So this is something that we are working on it currently, because we are planning to launch the first animation school for the East Africa here in partnership with one of the best animation schools from France here in Kenya. So it's going to be once again Kenya a hub for the entire region. But once you have young, fresh youth coming out of this kind of school and curriculum, then they can tell your stories through animation. And since, you know, we're going to have, what, 100 more channels here in Kenya, we're going to have thematic channels, children channels. So instead of having stories coming from the West, would be brilliant.
You're the ones to tell the story.
You know, African stories and Kenyan stories.
Okay. There's the issue of intra-African trade to develop sustainable content production, and I guess that's what you said. But when it comes now to the Kalasha International Film Festival, tell us more about that. How do we expect to benefit from that?
Thank you. That is very appropriate, because we've had Kalasha Awards for the last 5 years. But this time we felt, because of the new landscape and because of the fact that we want beyond the awards, you know, because it's just one evening, and also the festival which will show films the whole week through, you know, Kenyan and other international films as well. We wanted to have a business opportunity, because there's so much happening here. We are the only film commission in the region. We are the only country with a copyright board in the region. So even in terms of matters intellectual property, we are quite way ahead. And yet you find that a lot of times when Kenyan broadcasters and other people are looking for content, for example, they need to go to South Africa, maybe to Discovery, to West Africa, and we have nothing here. So we decided that we wanted to have Kenya as a place to come to. And the business opportunity there is that we will have everyone across the whole spectrum of film and TV. So whether you want to pitch your content as a filmmaker, we will have a pitching session, for example, because we have other side activities beyond the booths that we are going to have there. And also whether maybe you're a broadcaster, you're looking for content, maybe you want to know, how do I monetize my content on YouTube or Google? How do I negotiate, you know, the buying and the selling? How do I protect my intellectual property? The policymaker roundtable. So, and once you register on www.kalashainternational.com, you also get to see who the other participants are. So just by virtue of registering, you know, the networking begins right there. You can set up meetings in advance of next year's content market. And so there's a lot of opportunity there, and we hope that there will be a lot that the industry will be able to benefit from, even the trainings, you know, and all that. Okay. So it's really a good business opportunity. It's a big value add for the industry. And we are fortunate also to have His Excellency, the Deputy President, coming to open that market on Wednesday morning at the KICC. Okay. Yeah.
And where is the French connection now in all this?
Actually, we partnered since the beginning, so it's a common initiative, but it's a common, I mean, we do co-organize it. So the question is why? Yeah, why? Right? Why? First, because we have a mandate as at the Embassy of France to foster the business relationship between the French companies and the Kenyan or East African companies. So that's point one. Point two, you have more and more French media companies looking at carefully this region. So it's great to offer them a platform to come in and start doing business with the local companies. On the other way around, we are here also to support the industry to grow, and we have an expertise into it. May I just remind you that MIP TV and MIPCOM are the biggest film and TV markets worldwide. Cannes Festival is also huge, and we have this expertise of mixing the glamorous side of the film and TV industry within the business. On top of it, here in Kenya, you have plenty of talented people you are, in terms of innovation, really a step ahead. So everything there. Now it's just a question of providing a platform where people can come, network, and do their business or explore new business opportunities. And also have the opportunity of meeting some people that they may never met otherwise.
True.
Right?
True.
So this is how you do business. Create, expand your network, start chatting, exchanging, and then...
See what it will bring out.
In.
Money's coming in. All right, the Kalasha Awards, of course, the nominees are out, and the voting process is also out, and the public has been asked to vote in their favorite actors, actresses, films. The transparency in the voting process, how sure there won't be any rigging?
Thank you. The reason we are sure there will not be any rigging, and we've at least never had any rigging, is the fact that, first of all, the jury, or the Nomination Academy as they are known, is external to the Kenya Film Commission. They are men and women of integrity who hold various public positions. So we are very confident about that. And then, and obviously they have also the technical expertise. And that is why we give them the 70% vote. And then the 30% also by virtue of the fact that a lot of these films have not been watched by Kenyans. And also you may not be able to vote for technical aspects like editing or lighting and so on and so forth. That's why we give the 30% to the public. So we are very confident. And it's an academy that keeps changing year in, year out. So it's a very dynamic process. And so far, so good. So good.
All right, my final question, and it's to both of you. This year we've heard the term Africanizing a lot, and more so in business sense. I'm just wondering, do you think it's also Africanizing when it comes to film?
This is a big yes. This is a big yes.
That's all you can say. It's a big yes.
Yeah, it's a big yes, and we can say it. I mean, the quality there, the expansion of the channel, the expansion of the technologies, everything there it's booming. So yes.
Yes, it is, because when you look world over, US, India, Nigeria, 1 million jobs, second contributor to the GDP after oil. Film is the industry to watch. The kazi kwa vijana we keep talking about, film is the industry to watch.
The savior.
It is the savior. So we are grateful to government. We are asking the corporates, the private entities, put your money in this industry, because it is the savior for the youth. It is the savior for this continent.
All right.
Yes, please.
Just to say something for the audience, Kalasha International is due next week. There is a film festival starting on 26th.
That's what I was actually going to say, yes.
Okay, so you have the programs online on kalashainternational.com. The film festival brings films from all around Africa and even out of Africa, and it's going to be screened in various places in Kenya to make it available to a maximum of people. So Malindi, Mombasa, Kisumu, Machakos, and Nairobi, so check that out. And for all the professionals and the students within the creative industry, log to Kalasha International, register, get your accreditations at no cost, and enjoy the market, meet up with people, increase your business, attend conferences, workshops, and pitching sessions.
There you have it. I think she's pretty much summed up it for me, because I was going to say you have to make a point, if you're into film, to go for this conference that's taking place the whole of next week. There's a film showing that will be taking place, and thanks for saying that it's around the country, so that if you're in Mombasa or in Kisumu, you don't feel left out. They're going to be around the country. And then, more importantly, there will be that networking opportunity where you, as a student or as a filmmaker, or just someone who's interested in film, can walk in and get more information in regards to the Kenya film position. So thank you guys for coming this morning. We wish you all the best. Go onto the website kalashainternational.com, right? And you'll be able to get all the information you need in regards to all this. Thank you, ladies, once again.
Thank you
very much.
All right, so you're watching the Power Breakfast Show. Don't go too far, because we will be going to Dar es Salaam, Tanzania in a few minutes to join Francis Oshiri and Lulu Hassan, who are hosting Vanessa MD, one of the biggest female artists that side. And then we'll cross over back to Nairobi, where we have an international act joining us a bit later. But for now, we have some guys. They're called the Three Guys in the band entertaining us, so let's cross over to them.